Hey, real football starts Friday night. That's right. High school football. Friday Night Lights on ESPN2. St. Joe's Prep against American Heritage, which is ranked number 8 in the country. It's a fascinating game. So, of course, St. Joe's Prep, quarterback Charlie Folk, Alexander Haskell, the stud defensive end who's going to Penn State against American Heritage, and their quarterback, Dia Bell, who is among the top-ranked quarterbacks in the country and headed to Texas. And Dia Bell, you know his father, Rajah Bell, the former Sixer and NBA player. So that's the game. Cannot wait for it. And here comes a little sit-down preview with the defensive end, Alex Haskell, his dad, and Rajah Bell, dad of Dia, as the big game takes place tomorrow night. With us today, my God, stud, all right? Father and son. His father's not too bad either, all right? Justin Haskell, and of course, his son, Alex Haskell, St. Joe's Prep defensive end, who is going to Penn State next year. Boys, hello.
What's up?
How you doing?
What you doing, guys?
How you doing?
This is great. Well, first of all, Justin, I have to say right off the bat, you're a hell of a half-ball player.
Thank you, brother.
So we used to do a half-ball tournament, and Justin and his team won the first 5 years. They had to tell him don't come back because he owned the trophy.
We got kicked out of the Marzano for winning it too much.
Alex, it's great. It's great to meet you. You know,
Great to meet
you got a little bit of time now before you start camp. When do you start camp?
Next Tuesday. Yeah.
So do you get a little bit of a week, a little bit of a break?
Yeah.
What's your schedule been like? I mean, this whole thing, you're going into your senior year, big year. You guys are now ranked 17th in the country, which is really a great honor. You start off the season against American Heritage, ranked 9th on ESPN2. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a rough summer. Like the first 2 months, like we really worked our tails off. And I think it's gonna pay off. Like we start camp next week and camp's gonna be hell, but we're playing like basically a college schedule this year. So
You're a sports dad. And your son, Dia, is the number 1 quarterback in the country, committed to Texas. What's this journey been like being dad? I mean, you know, God bless. I'm so happy. And you guys are playing St. Joe's Prep Friday night on ESPN2. It's such a great story.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a lot more nerve-wracking, a lot harder to be a parent than it is to actually be out there competing. You know, but Dia was you know, always when we were younger, like he was born in Phoenix, and so he was kind of able to be around the Jazz a little bit as a high five kid as you're coming out to the court and stuff like that. And even from that time, he really loved football. He always had a football in his hands, always wanted football, you know, gear for Christmas and stuff like that. And it wasn't until maybe COVID, you know, I think I forget what grade it was, but he had always been dual sport, like true dual sport, where we played football and we were all in on that, and then we didn't touch basketball until basketball season came around, and then vice versa. And it was around COVID where he just kind of, we were in the backyard getting some work, probably too much work for a kid that age, and he just told me he didn't love basketball like that, and he was, you know, I was proud that he could be as honest as he was about that. I was hurt that he didn't want to play that sport that he showed so much promise in and that I played, but you know, I supported that. My wife supported it, and then we dove into the football. So it's been a cool ride, man. He just worked his tail off. You know, he plays in a great program that's given him, you know, a lot of people to aspire to be like. They've set a standard for him to try to live up to. They've you know, they don't take losing lightly. Like everything they do is in an effort to win a state championship every year, and him kind of being bred in that fire, I give them a lot of credit, along with him, for who he's become in that space.
Did you always love football? Did you look up to the guy, your older brothers?
I love football. I mean, they didn't take football as serious as I did, but like even going to their games when I was a kid, like I find them like it was so fun to go to their games and watch them because like I knew these guys outside and like seeing them do some things on the field, it was pretty sick. And my older brother Justin, I played on his teams no matter what the sport was up until I was like, I think 10, 11 years old. So like me and him were always like connected through sports no matter what. So, because I was always bigger, and also like my parents didn't feel like going to two teams.
No, we didn't. Definitely not. No, we definitely didn't.
Well, listen, it's a lot, right? You know.
And also like I was also big enough to play with the
Sure.
bigger kids. So
You played up a lot then.
yeah, I played basketball up in age group. I played football up in age group for the first few years of my life, and then that was really the only two sports I really played. And I did jiu-jitsu when I was younger, and now
You're martial arts,
Man, and he does martial arts. He still trains MMA, but it's football season, so he has to hang him up for a little bit.
yeah.
Especially quarterback. You know, youth programs, having a job, like you need to get the job at quarterback, learn to process the position. That's a whole other world.
Yeah. No, there's there are a lot of politics involved in that, especially, when you have volunteer dads who are doing the coaching, and then you've got these positions, and how do I put my son in them or do I not, like that? There's a lot that goes into that. I had to learn that on the fly. What I will say is, like, my dad was a college football player. He played at Morehouse in Atlanta, and when I grew up, I didn't get a chance to play because in the Virgin Islands we didn't have tackle football.
Right.
But I got to Miami, the ship had kind of sailed on whether or not I was going to be able to do that. I was long, lanky, like I would
basketball body. Yeah.
Right. So I loved football, but just played basketball. So, when Dia expressed the early interest in it, I was all in terms of learning the politics of it. It organically kind of worked out that he was one of the only kids that could kind of process the information in terms of the playbook, be able to get everyone where they're supposed to be, command the huddle. These weren't like physical tools at that point. It wasn't like he had a rocket arm or anything. He just could do some of the things that you have to do to be a quarterback. And then year in and year out, when they change an offense because they bring in a new dad, he could absorb it and and get it right. So he played that, and he played strong safety. And honestly, he liked playing strong safety better. He liked to hit. He liked to do those things. But the dad and me stepped in and was like, "Hey, man, listen, why don't we stay over here? Why don't we see if our bread's buttered over here a little bit more?" And as he got to about 6th, 7th grade, they started just focusing on offensive side of the ball. And then, we had to learn, who the right trainers were for that. Like, I know jump shots, but I don't know like throwing mechanics.
Sure.
There was just so much that I had to learn, but I really enjoyed the process because I love football.
Because football is like a really, really weird sport. It encompasses like everything. You got to be as like big as like and as strong as a power lifter. You got to be as fast as a track guy, and you got to be as smart as like a chess player.
Yes.
So it's like
yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
You got to.
It's a great way to encapsulize it.
So you just got to be like an overall athlete, but you also got to be smart. Like I've seen like a lot of guys like on the team, like they're athletic enough and strong enough to play, but they just can't get a play down to save their life, or vice versa. Like they're smart and they're not like athletic enough. So you got to really train all three aspects of the game, I feel like. And then I always take rest on Sundays because you got to get recovery in too. So
his journey in grade school. So then you get him a trainer, mechanics, all that stuff.
Yeah, we had to dive into all of that. He was lucky. I was blessed that I found a guy that we are a football state through and through.
Yeah.
Especially South Florida as a community is a football junkies, but we didn't have a ton of quarterback people down here. We had a lot of receiver coaches, a lot of DB coaches, a lot of linebacker coaches, speed, agility, but nobody that could really teach our quarterbacks the finer points of playing the position. And I was watching him in the park, and I was pouring kind of my lost vision for my professional life into him a little bit. And so I'm looking for ways to help him get better. And I found a guy named Oliver Bozeman, who was one of a few people down here that was doing it. And Dia's been with him ever since. And, they work well together. They've carved out like a nice little career, for Dia. And since like his roster of quarterbacks down here and quarterback play in general, is looked upon a little differently in South Florida. It started a couple years before Dia with this CJ. What's CJ's last name? He's at North Carolina State right now. Austin Simmons will be the starter at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Like this, some guys like that. It's run through Dia's class, and then they'll have them, stacked up pretty good. But finding the right guy was like imperative and integral to Dia being able to have any kind of success.
And then how does he land at American Heritage?
Yeah, well, they're probably 5 minutes from the crib. So like when those guys were little, again, I love football. I take him and his younger brother's like 18 months younger, and those two and my dad would just go watch high school football games. And so, we'd be at Heritage when DeMatha would come down to play him or any other top 10 national team. And so I got pictures of Dia, standing on the fence looking at Heritage games when he was like 8 years old. So, as he got older, we had to figure out what would be a good fit for him, like personality wise, and then obviously schematically. So, I just asked a few high school coaches what they thought of his film. And, Heritage, Pat Surtain, who's at Florida State right now, was one of the guys who was like, I think I think he could be a national kid.
So at that time in Alex's life, Alex was just like a big kid, really big, very football skilled oriented, very good at what he knew. The thing was this, though, is Alex wasn't an athlete. So I happened to run across Joe Ferreira hitting a heavy bag, and he was doing it wrong, the owner of Pride Fit, and he's hitting it wrong. And me training in martial arts, it like made me twitch. So I was like, yo, dude, this is what you need to do, please, because this is driving me nuts. So we started hitting it all. We started talking. Now, mind you, I've known Joe for years, but we never really talked.
Oh, wow.
This was when we really started to talk.
Joe is an amazing trainer.
No.
Yeah.
This is Joe Ferreira. This is all Pride Fit system. Alex is the Pride Fit system. Joe met Alex, took him, he assessed him. He goes, I got him. And the transformation from Alex just being this big kid that knew how to play football to Alex being the D1 athletic prospect that plays football. That's what Joe created. And I tell people this all the time because I talk to parents about this because they talk to me a lot about my son.
Yeah,
and they
of
ask
course.
me about ways. And I'm like, listen, it's too many parents focus on skill. You have to focus more on the athletic side, building their athleticism. Once you build, the skill will always get better as long as the athlete becomes more athletic. Once you get that athlete that gets more athletic, there's going to be more skill that actually just comes natural to them because there's now more that they're able
Speed, right.
to accomplish. And seeing what Joe did with my son from his 7th grade year to where he's at now is nothing short of incredible. And you have to give the credit where it's at. Alex, besides his hard work, where Alex is at has to do a lot with what Joe Ferreira was able to provide with him, with what they've done together. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I'm always pushing. Once you find a good trainer, if you're not seeing the development in your kid, and I'm sorry to say this, you got to leave that trainer because some trainers will just hustle you for the money. It's a business. But for the money you're investing, you need to see the results. And obviously my son's a D1 prospect with what we have, 24 offers?
19.
19 Division I offers of all big schools.
Every major program in the country is looking at you guys. It's a whole world of NIL, which is a completely, different animal, different beast than you dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we decided, like my wife was I met her at FIU and she was a All-American soccer player and player of the year in college and stuff like that. So she's got a great sports background in her own right. And so together we kind of felt like we wanted Dia to try to pick, as organically as he could for the reasons that we would have picked for back when we played. Like, where do you see yourself? What staff speaks to you? Who do you think you can be around on a day-to-day? What town do you want to live in? Like, what's the culture that you want? And the money, we'll get to that eventually because it is a part of it, right? But like up front, that's what we focused on. So we spent a lot of time and a lot of resources taking his little butt around the country to see all the places that he thought he could see himself. We double back and go again. We get to know those people, and that was our process. And then we kind of let Dia have his time. And we went to bed one night thinking it was one school and woke up the next morning and he told us it was Texas. And so we've been with that ever since.
Another thing I would like for the kids and the parents to know too, with all these, not every offer that you get is an actual offer. Okay, like Alex said, schools will come at you, but it's who pursues you the most. It's who's really showing you that they really want you. Some teams will just put their name in the hat just because another school was looking for you. All right, and it's more of a copycat business. It's just more so to piss another school off. You know what I mean? Like, all right, well, Michigan offered Alex, Penn State offered him. Well, all right, here goes Ohio State. Oh, we're going to offer Alex Haskell as well. And I'm only using them three because of they're the big names. And,
Sure.
So that's more so what it is. Not every offer is an actual offer. Okay.
When do you know that it's actually real?
So on top of what the way I took it, me and his mother took it as being his parent was, we want to listen in on your phone calls. Not every one of them, but let us listen to what's being said because it's exciting for them. You're an athlete. Now these schools are coming to you. These grown men are talking to you, but I want to make sure I hear what they're saying to you. And they're not making promises, that they're not going to be able to keep. So as far as like me and his mother, we would just listen in. And then, and one thing that we would always tell the coach, don't promise our son anything. Nothing is promised. I don't want if you promise him he's starting next year, take us off your list. Not coming to your school. That's done. Because what he's saying
You can see right through it.
Well, what are you saying in the 2027 class?
Right.
I think the kid the same position. You know what I mean? What are you telling him? Oh, is he starting too? So
and it's something that you can't follow through with. Like you can't say that now. Like,
no, you can't.
Yeah.
And so more so, and he has his personals. He's always on the phone with Coach Barnes from Penn State. That's his guy. Deion Barnes is the man. But also out of all of this, Coach Infante from Duke, he kept all, what promises and everything that he made for Alex. Coach, how do you say Epizito from Michigan?
I'll just call him Coach Espo.
Yeah, Coach Espo. Yo, they were amazing too. Coach Espo's the man. But and Syracuse, Fran and Elijah and Coach Elijah Robinson, amazing. And that's what really looking at all Alex's his offers, and you're saying like, damn, you took Syracuse like over Michigan or over in Ohio State. Well, Fran and Coach Nick and Coach Robinson, dude, like they were real, and you felt it. Like when you went up there, they were receptive. Like I almost like you want to just leave your kid with them, and you have to convince the parents on that part. The sport, you have to convince your son. The coaches have to convince the parents, like, yo, you leave your son here, we're going to take care of them.
What drove him ultimately to Texas? Like, what was some of the more important things?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think Texas kind of was later to his recruitment than some of the other schools. But when they came in, they were very genuine about their process. They did not give out a lot of offers. I think they had 3 on the table at the time. They made it very clear that they were going to get to know him, get to know us, and the offer wouldn't be coming if it came for a while. And so they just went about establishing a very, very good relationship with him. Coach Milwee, Coach Sark, Coach Bamonte, and a lot of people did. They're not the only ones that did that. Like there were other schools. We had some great relationships built and he had some great ones built, but they did a very good job of that. And then I think, as he started getting down into the nuts and bolts of Texas, Sark's ability to historically develop the position.
Yeah, he's a great quarterback, man. Yeah, great quarterback coach.
He was a great quarterback. He's coached great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's coached at multiple levels. He was able to kind of articulate his coaching tree and talk to us about how the schematics of what he does show up every Sunday and draw references to, if that's what you want to do, here's what I do. Here's who I learned it from. Here are the guys in the league coaching it that learned from me. And all those dots kind of connected for Dia in a way where the relationship was good. The town is fantastic. The culture within the program was strong. And then you develop the heck out of his position. And he could see himself in that offense, which was really important.
And it's got to be fascinating for you too, because, here the incumbent is a Manning, right?
Yeah.
So what, it doesn't get more quarterback, the first family of quarterbacks the Manning family, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that had to help in the decision. And even if Arch, I guess Arch, everybody's saying he's going to stay another year, that's got to be good for Dia because you'll get to go and learn and see from Arch as Arch just did this past season.
Well, absolutely. Look, I've said on more than one occasion, look, if Texas is the place that the Mannings are looking at, I mean, I'm going to defer to them in terms of quarterback development. So, I mean, if they think it's good enough, I mean, I'll hop on board with that. But in terms of like Dia and Arch, yeah, man, like look, Dia is prepared to do whatever he needs to do. Like he understands that Arch might come back. He understands that you have Trey Owens and KJ Lacey in the building already. His job is to go to a school, be the best version of himself that he can be, and control what he can control, which is, being on time, being studious, diving into your playbook, connecting, making relationships, leading. And when his time comes and they feel like he's prepared to step on that field, he's going to be as ready as he can be to do that. But he doesn't control anything else. And so I think he's really good in that space. And he always has been of like, hey, man, this is what I can handle.
Yeah.
So this is focused on. And if I get outside of that, I'm just spinning, right? And there are too many things to worry about. So I think he's pretty good about that. And he relishes the opportunity if Arch is back to really dive in and learn in an environment that is kind of safe and would be more of a preparation for him having a shot at it in the future.
I chose Penn State because going back all the way to my freshman year, they were the first school to really say, like, they really believed in me. Like, it wasn't just like a saying. They also, like, showed me that they really wanted me too. And I was up there the most, like, because it was close, so it was easy to go up there. And Penn State's one of the biggest football schools in the country. Like, you can't really get much better than Penn State. And so, like, they really, like, just really pursued me from the start. And I felt like the connection was real, and they really showed me that they really wanted me. And I feel like I can fit into the Penn State system and get to my goal, which is the NFL. So, yeah.
Did you? What were some of the other schools that were looking at you?
So my top four was Penn State, Michigan, Syracuse, and Duke. They were the four that really pursued me the most. And at the end, it wound up being really between Penn State and Syracuse, which those two were the ones that really showed me the most love. Michigan was really good too, and so was Duke towards the end of it, which I really appreciate all four of those schools and every school that really gave me an opportunity to play college football. So, yeah.
We had helped him narrow it down. Again, we wanted to respect kind of him in the process.
Mhm.
And so we were there as kind of, like sounding boards for him to bounce these ideas off of. And there were some schools maybe logistically that he liked that we didn't know if family wise we were going to be able to be a part of his world that we counseled on. And so he narrowed his list down to a few schools that we felt really strongly he could not go wrong. So, when he woke up and said it was Texas, albeit we went to sleep thinking it was going to be, we actually went to sleep thinking it was going to be someone else. But when he said Texas, we asked him why. And when he articulated all the reasons that he thought it was a fit for him, I mean, I was more proud than anything because,
awesome.
he was hitting the nail on the head with a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a fine line between being you want to guide them. You want to guide them. You don't want to be controlling, but you want to guide them, right? Because obviously, especially in your case, you are a professional athlete, so you know the world. You know the pitfalls. You know everything about it. So you want to make sure that you convey that advice, but without kind of making the decision for them.
Yeah, that's a tight rope that you're walking, right? Like, and sometimes, you cross over that line a little bit if you feel like they need it. But for the most part, we tried to stay right on it, and we tried to stay neutral, and we tried to just express to him the things that he was raised with that were important in our household, and being good human beings, being just humble, just the things that were like tenets in our house. And if we could get him to just always use those as anchors, then he was going to be okay, because he'd be looking for that in his next home. And we feel like he did a good job of that.
What were some of the other schools that were looking at you? So my top four was Penn State, Michigan, Syracuse, and Duke. They were the four that really pursued me the most. And at the end, it wound up being really between Penn State and Syracuse, which those two were the ones that really showed me the most love.
We had
Let me ask you, just advice for parents.
So what I can give to parents is be a parent to your child. Do not put the stresses of everyday life on your child for playing sports. There's don't look at your child as a meal ticket. The NFL never comes and gets any 11 or 10-year-olds at all. There's never been one in the NFL. They're not going to start now. Your job is to protect your child, but that's pretty much as your parent. But another thing I can say to you is the car ride home will determine what type of athlete your son or your daughter will be, because if you're undermining the coach, you're undermining their play without any positivity. Even if it was one of the worst games you ever seen coached or anything, you got to believe in the coach. If your son messed up, your daughter messed up on a play, you can't beat that into their head that that's the type of athlete that they are, because that right there could chase them away and burn them out, and your sideline etiquette. How you are in the stands can chase schools away from your kids, and don't be the reason why your child isn't hitting its full potential because of you taking away because of the way you want to be on the sidelines.
What advice would you have for parents?
Oh man.
I mean, like, some of your basic tenets, like, because you see it, like you see football kids that are, let's go hit. They're acting like it's the NFL. You have those programs. People also don't understand about puberty and what is pre-puberty, going through puberty, how kids differentiate themselves, whether they grow or not. All that stuff comes into play.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big question. Those are all. I would start by saying, like, fundamentally, when they're young, expose them to a lot of stuff. Like, don't just push something on them. Like, I was the son of a PE coach, so my wife played soccer. So our boys played soccer, they played baseball, they played football, they played basketball, they tried tennis, they tried golf. Now, you might not have the ability, like, logistically to try all of those things, but whatever you do, let them try it, and then listen to them, like, watch them. They'll tell you what they love, they'll tell you what they like to do the most, right? And what you want for them might not exactly be what they want for themselves.
Yeah.
Right, so, like, you got to listen to them in that space, and then encourage them in whichever route they choose. I mean, these are conversations even beyond sports, right? Piano. You want to do that? Let's do it, dude. Like, we're in. Let's rock and roll. Let's see how good we can be at it. You know, I would take it a step further in terms of what I see now is a lot of parents want their kid to be something that their kid doesn't display they want to be on a field. Like, not everyone is an alpha.
Right.
They're just not. It doesn't mean you can't be a professional. I played with plenty of professionals that weren't alphas, right? But there's so many parents. This is what this is what I want him to be. And just from my experience coaching, like, I'm like, hey, I know you're not in my practice, but if you came to my practice and watch, you'd see, like, what you want and what he wants just are not the same. You're not listening to him. You know what I mean? Like, so, to some degree, you got to listen. This is trial and error. I did not get this right. I was really, really demanding really early. None of that matters in third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh grade. No rankings, no tournament wins, no national championships. None of it matters. What matters is fostering a love for what you're doing, getting a good foundation in that, right? So that you're prepared when you get to, like, eighth. Like, my sons could start playing varsity in eighth grade. So, like, are we prepared, like, fundamentally to make someone's varsity team in the eighth grade? Maybe you don't play, but, like, are we prepared? Those are the things that matter at a young age. Like, so, cringing at rankings in the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, trying to tell someone who they are, to your point, when most of the ones that are already ranked are finished with puberty and aren't going to grow anymore. Like, that's a very interesting time, and people kind of get caught up in that, right?
Yeah.
I would say, like, be careful with that. And then early in their careers, have patience.
Yeah.
Like, if they're not ready, like most coaches, at a good high school level, we're out of the daddy ball phase. At a good high school level, they're there to try to win games and develop kids. So if they don't see it, it's not usually personal. It's probably because the kid isn't ready, and that is okay as a parent, as a kid, and it's okay for us to acknowledge that in our kid. It just means we got to work harder. We have to do the things that we can control to change that narrative for next season or for the fall or for the spring or what have you. And I think too many parents just want what they want right now, and if they don't get it, they'll take, Johnny or Sue or Roger, and they're out. They're going to go to find it from who they can get it from.
Say the first game, maybe American Heritage is on it. They have the greatest chemistry ever. Like you never know. So you got to take every single game as if it's like the best game you're ever going to play. Like every single team might be preparing their best game plan ever just for us. So you got to take every game like it's a championship, like you're defending your belt in like UFC or something. Like you got to take every game like it's the biggest game.
Do you have you started? I'm sure you started watching film on them, right? Like you've.
Yeah, they're a really good football team. That's basing. You look at some of the plays these guys make, they're a really good football team. And I'm excited to be able to, me and my guys are able to challenge each other, challenge ourselves playing against a really good team. And hopefully when we go down there, we can win and show some people that we really are as good as people say we are. But that just comes with hard work. And we don't know until the end of this camp, until we step on the field, that our preparation is definitely going to prepare us to win, because our coaches are some of the best high school coaches in the country, I can say. So it's really just up to us and how hard we work this camp. And
Is it fun for you, the fact that they're known, like their quarterback is ranked, I think, 3rd or 4th in the country, Diabell?
Yeah, I never played, me personally, I never played a QB that highly rated. Like, he's talked up to be one of the best players in the class of 26. So it's really exciting to play someone that is talked about so highly of and can really change a game, as some people say. Like, he might be the best player I've ever played. So it's really exciting to have the opportunity to play someone like that and show off my talents and play the best. That's really just what I want to do, play the best.
My brother, I so enjoyed this. God bless your children. Good luck Friday night. It's a beautiful thing, man. I love that you're such an involved sports dad. I wish you guys only the best.
I appreciate that. Wouldn't have it any other way. Good luck to your boys. Shout out to Philly. St. Joe's, take it easy, man. Don't come down here acting the fool. Y'all be cool. Yeah, man. Thank you. It's been great.